more Americans are on the internet than ever before. If I told you nearly 9 in 10 Americans use the internet on a daily basis, according to my friends over at the Pew Research Center, that probably wouldn't come as a huge surprise to any of you. However, what may become of a bit of a surprise would be that only 73% of Americans use the internet in 2015. And when it comes to the largest online market in the world, the United States ranks third with more than 311 million users worldwide. Matthew White is the founder of PlatypusOS and Qebot, and he's been in the field of entrepreneurship for 15 years, building and scaling startups as best he can. He founded Qebot over 10 years ago to help software become more accessible and manageable for business owners. And he says he's grown it to the preeminent SaaS platform in the marketplace. He's now working on PlatypusOS to bring a fully functioning AI assistant to the marketplace. It has a proprietary browser and integrated AI to help make our internet experience more personalized and more efficient. And White joined me this week to tell me more about how the 40% of Americans, according to National Public Radio, who use AI on a daily basis, can use it to streamline and make their business operation run more efficiently and effectively, and how the future of AI using his two platforms will be forever changed. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, Matthew, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, my friend. And I'm super excited to learn about your journey in entrepreneurship. Thanks for being here, and happy Thursday to you, my friend.
You too. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, Matthew, I know that your background is in startups and entrepreneurship, my friend. I know that you've been in the game for about 15 years, and you're on a mission to use both AI and your business experience to change the way that we surf the internet, my friend. So I'm wondering if we could begin our conversation by you telling me about your work, my friend, and what makes it so fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've done is there's two companies that I kind of run right now. One is called Qebot. It's like a centralized platform of different marketing and management tools for businesses. We really did that to help simplify technology for business owners, make it easier for them to access and use these technologies. They're more interactive together, et cetera. We took that mentality of having simplicity within applications that you use for your daily business, and now injecting AI into that, which we think is going to kind of revolutionize how people use technology online, how they use the software that they use to be able to just have a simpler way of accessing and using these tools. And we find, especially like small and medium business owners, they have a hard time sometimes using these tools or finding time to use these tools. And we believe that AI is going to really help kind of reinvent how people can use these tools more effectively and grow and manage and market their businesses. So it's a very exciting time. AI is really changing the world, and I think we're going to do some cool things.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into specifically how do you think AI will help us run more efficient businesses from a top three perspective, my friend? Fred, why do you think AI will be a friend to businesses moving forward?
Yeah, so one of the big things that we find, so again, with the Qebot platform, we work with tens of thousands of small businesses. And specifically for them, we find that technology can be daunting. Either, again, the time to use these technologies is really can be really hard for these business owners sometimes. You know, they're running their business, they're going out on sales calls, they're doing all that kind of stuff. And using the technology can be a lot of work. And we also find, you know, a lot of business owners that are maybe a little bit older, they have less tech savvy, let's say. And because of that, you know, using these tools can be more difficult than what they're getting out of it. So the ROI isn't really there. I think a big way AI is going to change this is taking the front user interfaces that people use for these technologies, where they have to go in and type everything in and use it, to being able to prompt AI to say, hey, I just got off a phone call with John Smith, move him into this step of my, you know, my lead process, and then send him a thank you email, right? Without having to go in and do it, you can just prompt or talk to AI and have it do it. So I think that's going to help a lot of business owners be more effective when it comes to using these technologies to gain more leads, to bring more leads into actual customers, to just manage their daily operations. So it's going to give them more time to do the work they need, so that everybody's just more productive and efficient, and you're making more money because you're not spending time on the daily tasks, you're spending time doing the work that needs to be done. So I think that's going to be a big boost in everybody's efficiency and productivity.
Yeah, and for yourself personally, Matthew, in terms of growing your businesses, because I know you want to make software platforms more manageable for business owners, but I'm also curious to ask you for yourself specifically, my friend. Tell me about the discipline it took to grow your businesses to get them to where they are today, my friend.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, any entrepreneur will tell you, like it's all when you look from the outside, being a business owner is all rainbows and, you know, butterflies. But once you're in it, it's a daily grind. I think one of the big things that I find with people that want to kind of lead this life, if you're not willing to just put the grind and the time in to get the work done, it's not going to happen. You're gonna stumble. You're gonna fall. It's a hard life, and you know there's been ups and downs throughout my entire career. There's been times where I didn't know if we're going to make payroll. There's been times where we've been on top of the world, right? And those struggles can really weigh on a CEO, an entrepreneur that is trying to build something, because you're focused on trying to build something. You want to do something big, and when you have to worry about, you know, oh, this big client is canceling, and now I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. That is a stress that I think drives a lot of entrepreneurs to, I mean, depression, to hard times in their mental state. And it's things that you need to find outlets to work through. So that's one of the big things that I've always found is entrepreneurs need to find mentors and partners that can help them kind of work through any of those struggles, as well as just being able to find outlets, working out, hiking, whatever it is that will get your mind off of that stuff for a while, so you can refocus when you come back to it. Because the focus is what's going to drive success for any business owner.
Yeah, and Matthew, I know you want to also, through your Platypus company, I know you also want to introduce, you know, better AI assistants, my friend, and you know, so I want to ask you about delegation and the importance of embracing an AI assistant moving forward, and what do you think the landscape of that may look like, my friend?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be big. I think the delegation for AI to be able to do the daily tasks and assistive tasks is going to be a big game change. I think right now AI is really good at creating content, being informational. I think the next big stage of AI is going to be assistive, where it can actually connect into applications and tools that you're using and be able to do the activities and do the tasks that you need to be done. What that will do, and it's kind of what we're working with PlatypusOS, is we take our AI and plop it on top of our proprietary browser. What that allows us to do is tap into any application online, so that if your application you're using doesn't have AI baked in, our AI can sit on top and do the work for you. And the way that kind of works also, it allows tools to work together more effectively, more efficiently. But from just a work perspective, it's going to be able to allow you to delegate a lot more to a system that is going to be, I guess, more trustworthy, if that makes sense. Some of the problems that people have with working with humans sometimes is somebody calls off, and now you need to find somebody to take up that slack, or you have to do that work yourself. AI won't take a day off. It's going to be there to do the work, and if you set it up correctly, it's going to be there to make sure that the work gets done that needs to, so that you can focus on the more grueling parts of your business, maybe, or the more important parts of your business that help you grow, help you get the work done that people are looking for.
Yeah, and Matthew, I'm also curious to ask you about, the Pew Research Center tells us that 94% of Americans have access to the internet today, and I know one of the things that you want to work on is making our internet experience more personalized, my friend, through the platforms and companies you work with. So what do you think it means to make our internet experience more personalized? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I think it's one of the things that we built with PlatypusOS in the beginning. So before we started baking the AI into it, we wanted to make a more personalized experience when it comes to just a browser. And that's what we kind of originally started building, was a way that you can, if you go use PlatypusOS right now, we reorganize all the applications you use on a regular basis into a sidebar. And then we create different user profiles, so you can swap back and forth between your home profile and your work profile to keep everything separate and keep everything just kind of more organized. That was a big idea that we had about just kind of personalizing the internet more to how you operate. I think going past that with AI specifically, we're going to be able to customize not only the internet to how you operate, but you're going to be able to interact with it better, right? So using AI, we can actually start to have conversations with the internet itself, find the content and the information we need, do tasks and work that needs to be done. And then from our perspective, we're also wanting to basically take the browser system that we have and really put it online on the cloud. So that way you're not taking much energy on your own computer. You're not, it's going to make the internet run faster. So the internet experience as a whole is going to be a lot better, and it's going to be a lot faster with how AI will be able to interact with what you need. So I think that's going to be a big update in the near future. And it'll work on any device, right? So you could, your phone is going to have the exact same setup and profile as your computer, as maybe your smart refrigerator in your kitchen. It's all going to interact and work together, and I think that's a very exciting kind of idea of how the internet is going to work. It's just going to be everywhere. Your system, your setup is going to be anywhere you go, and it's going to be just accessible wherever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, I'm also curious to get your thoughts on the findings from IT technology consulting company Wigman Solutions, who did a study last year that found that 35% of business owners are actively using AI to cut costs and run things more efficiently in their business. And I'm curious if you think that number will increase moving forward in terms of cost savings and to achieve things like machine learning and coming up with business copy as well. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, honestly, I think we're just scratching the surface. I think, again, right now, what we find is applications are integrating AI so they can work within their own applications. I also think that it's really good, again, for content, and it's good for informational purposes. I think when we get to the point of what I'm calling assistive AI, where it can actually do tasks for you across any application, across any website, really across any kind of device type, that's where it's going to be very transformational. And I think we're going to see that 35% go through the roof. Everybody will be able to use this system. And I think one of the things I think about too is when it comes to cost effectiveness, right now, if we're looking at just AI from a software perspective, yes, it probably will be more expensive than some of the SaaS tools that you use right now. But what we're looking at is not so much the budget we can tap into for your tech stack, your software budget, but if you're able to, let's say I'm a real estate agent, right? And I want my AI to pull all the new listings from MLS. I want them to match all those listings with potential buyers that I have in my database, and I want them to I want AI to automatically send them an email on a daily basis with new, options that are on the market, right? That would take a person to do. That would take a person just sitting there every single day for hours, matching that up and sending it. If we get AI to do that, that's taking workforce off the table. So we're not only tapping into the SaaS budgets, the software budgets, but we'll be able to start tapping into workforce budgets, which, I mean, there's gives and takes on that, obviously, but that's going to allow AI to make running your business a lot more cost effective, actually, a lot cheaper than what it would take to have just the common SaaS tools we have now paired with a human being. So I think that's where this is going to go. It's going to save a lot of people quite a bit of money, actually, which they can invest into other parts of their business.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, I also wanted to ask you about how we make sure that AI doesn't completely take over the human work experience. How do you think we can strike a delicate balance between the two?
It's going to be interesting. I think the next few years is going to be really telling about what AI brings to the table when it comes to what the workforce is going to be able to do. I think there's some really great opportunities here where a lot of the daily tasks, tasks that nobody likes to do, just data entry, all that kind of stuff, will mostly be replaced by AI in the future. But what that I think will allow to do is people to be more creative, people to run and manage the business more effectively, people to be able to, do more of the work that's necessary instead of the data entry. I mean, I think about right now, when you call up a company and they don't have enough people to be able to get out and fix the electrical grid as the systems are running. If you could take some of that money away from just the data entry side and put it into more people being on the road and getting the work done, that's going to make, number one, the company make more money. But number two, it's going to make us be able to move faster when it comes to getting things done. And I think we'll be able to employ more people in the actual workforce rather than the data entry side of the industry. And I think that's where we're going to see a big change. I think it will also release people to be more, follow more creative passions. And I think that's going to be exciting to kind of see people not have to be, locked into jobs just because they need a paycheck, but be able to pursue more opportunities. And I think there's going to be more investment in that kind of stuff because there's going to be more money available for different types of jobs and different kinds of growth that we can see in these different sectors. So I think it's going to be a give and take. Jobs will be lost, but I think new jobs will be gained in different ways.
Well, life is a give and take, though, right? So
yeah,
once one door closes, another one opens, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And Matt, I know you have some experience in fundraising and starting a startup. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on how that's evolved over time and what's the key to successfully raising money to start a startup, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah. So when it comes to raising money, I'm a big proponent of build it before you try to go raise. Qebot, we basically bootstrapped. We raised a little money on that, but we bootstrapped it into existence. Same with PlatypusOS. When we built PlatypusOS, my co-founder and I, we took money out of our own salaries to be able to put some people in place with Qebot to kind of manage that as we kind of transition more into managing the new organization, managing the new PlatypusOS and AI systems, because we didn't want to raise the money at first. I think there's two things to think about here. Number one, when you want to go raise money, it's going to be pretty difficult these days if you don't have some sort of prototype or something actionable people can use already set up. And the way the world is set up these days, back when we started Qebot, you kind of did need some money to be able to go build your prototypes and build things out. These days, it's so cheap. A few, cheap subscriptions, use AI to write a lot of your code for you. There are ways to go build prototypes for businesses at a really, really cheap way. and then be able to launch that and get that on the market. And then once you have it set and once you know people are using it and people are liking it, that's when you go raise money to be able to find your product market fit, to tune your technology, your product, whatever it's going to be, into something that can be more scalable. That's when you raise money. I think you need to get out there, figure out what it is, take your bumps, because again, when we started building Qebot before we raised any money, we definitely tested 10 different things. We pivoted 3 times to find out where our market really was. And then once we found our market and understood where we can go, that's when we started to figure out, okay, we need to start raising money so we can scale this out. That's kind of my idea. If somebody comes to me with an idea on the back of a napkin, unless you have really good contacts, or you're from the right school, it's going to be hard for you to go raise that money. And I think you should go build it, and then build it, launch it, raise it. That's kind of my process.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew, I'm also curious to get your thoughts on a couple of more statistics. And I'll start with this one, my friend. Our friends over at Inc. Magazine reported last year that more than 2/3 of Gen Z and millennial business owners are using AI to scale their businesses. So I'm sure that doesn't come as a surprise to you, but I'm curious, what do you make of those numbers, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, we've always seen that the younger generations are early adopters on new technology, right? It's kind of just been, especially since the internet has been born, it's kind of just been the way it is. I mean, most people that are millennials, Gen Z, grew up with the internet, right? So they're not so worried about using it and wanting to use new things and test new things. I think that is where those generations are really succeeding, is being able to come in and say, hey, look, I'm not afraid of this. I want to try it out. I want to see how it can work for me. So I think that's just going to continue to grow as well, especially as more like Gen Z and the next generations after that come into the workforce. And the kind of millennials at this point, which I think are kind of starting to take over some businesses, are using AI. It's going to kind of be forced on younger generations as well. And I think it's a good thing. I think growth and innovation is the key to any business. You look at, Blockbuster, for example, they failed because they didn't innovate. You need to be on the forefront of innovation to drive and build a successful business. I also do think that the older generations will start to utilize this technology a lot more. Again, once it becomes more assistive to them. I think about, older generations, when they use texting, they do chat to text, right? Because it's just easier for them to use that technology in that way than it is to try to type. I think we build applications and we build AI agents that allow people that maybe aren't so tech savvy to be able to voice their commands and their prompts into these technologies to use them. It's gonna change the game for how older generations perhaps are using technology. And I think it's going to be we're going to find big gains in older generations wanting to use this technology, just because it's going to simplify using the tools they need to run and grow their businesses.
Yeah, and the last sort of statistical question I have for you before I move on, my friend, is a survey conducted by Harvard economist David Deming, last year found that 40% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 64 are using generative AI. In addition, over 24% of American workers have used AI at least once, and 22% of blue-collar workers also report using AI at a rate that exceeds 20%, my friend. So I'm curious to also get your thoughts on that. And it also says here that the major occupation categories that are using AI are personal services and customer service, my friend. So what are your thoughts when you hear those numbers, and what comes to mind for you, my friend? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think those numbers are going to continue to grow. I think it's going to be, I think we're going to see a huge boom in technology usage when AI is more integrated into them. Because again, when I think about, older generations that don't want to use their CRM because they don't want to take the time to do it, or they don't know how to use it. I think a lot of those generational gaps are going to be closed by the ease of using AI to do those jobs for you. Like using your CRM. I find, I work with a lot of small business owners, and they go to they like the idea of a CRM and they implement it, but then they don't set it up fully correctly, or they don't have the time or the energy or the know how to use it. And I think with AI, if we can start to build AI agents that can fine tune these tools for them from the beginning, that can give them command based prompts that they can come in and just use this technology in a much more efficient manner. And when they start to see the ROI they're getting out of it, when they see that they can close more business, when they see that they can get more jobs done, that's going to drive a much higher usage of this technology across the board. And there's, anybody in the older generations that are the buyers of this technology are going to start to force their younger generations, which are all already using it, but to use it more effectively as well. Because again, it all comes back to money for a lot of business owners. And if you can close more deals, get more work done, transition some of that money from the data entry stuff into more workers being in the field or being in the sales team, or all that kind of stuff, that's going to drive a lot more revenue and profit for the businesses. And that's, I think, once the money starts to follow the trends, you're going to see everything transition pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew, I also wanted to talk to you about the mental health factor of running a startup, my friend,
Sure.
And how it can affect our mental and physical well-being, becoming an entrepreneur who's in charge of a startup, my friend. What are your thoughts on how to best manage mental health, and how do you think that's evolved as a startup business owner? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, in short, the life is a roller coaster. You're going to have your ups, your downs. You're going to close a big deal, and you're just going to be on top of the world. You're going to be flying. Everything's going to be exciting, and then you're going to lose a customer, and it just takes a dump. Or you launch a new product, and it just doesn't work, or you can't find a product market fit. Or coming into this life, it takes a lot. It takes like a lot of time, a lot of energy. It takes money. I mean, there were years I didn't take any salary, and my friends would be traveling to here or there, and I'd be like, well, I'm not able to take that trip with you guys. And that's wearing too. You start to lose friends when you don't go do those activities with them on a regular basis. I've had a great network that's really helped me, but I think the thing to really kind of help handle that mental stress is, number one, build a group around you that's going to be there to help you mentally when you start to have some breakdowns and some cracks in the mental facilities there. People that you can talk to, people to kind of understand. So it's also good to connect with other entrepreneurs, other startup co-founders, those kind of people, to understand, to be able to have something to relate to. But it's also important to have those things to get you out of it. I think that's something that people kind of forget, and they just work. You have to decompress. And what I found is, when you take time to go on a small vacation, or take 3 days off, or just detach, go on a hike, that's when you come back so refreshed. And that's where the ideas come from. That's where the passion comes from. That's where the rejuvenation to get work done comes from. And I think everybody's got to have a hobby, a passion outside of the work that they can go fixate on to kind of take their mind off of that stuff. If you don't, you're going to drive yourself crazy, and you're going to crash. And if you don't have the right things in place, people, activities, hobbies, just a way to detach, you're going to burn out. And it's important to make sure you have those things in your life.
Yeah, and Matthew, I'm also curious to ask you, how do you think AI and the future of AI will diversify the economy, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more. So again, I think it's going to take over a lot of the manual labor roles, which not manual labor roles like construction, things like that, but data entry. I mean, we're already seeing, I take Waymos here when it comes to taxis, so that position is going to change. I think the nice thing about how this will operate is people will be able to come and find roles that kind of fit what they really want to do a little bit more. And it's going to be, it's hard to say, because there's going to be a lot of change. The next few years are really going to show what this technology will do to humanity. I am positive about it. I kind of spin a positive note. I think it's going to allow us to be more open to new ideas of what we want to do and what we want to be. I think it's going to allow us to be more creative and more, be able to create more ideas around what we want to be as a human being. But I mean, again, there's going to be a lot of people who will struggle. Any revolution, and this is definitely a revolution, has changed people, right? The guys back in the Industrial Revolution that were, or when cars were invented, went from creating horseshoes to having to create wheels. There's going to be big changes in all of that. I think from diversifying what people do for a living, honestly, it's going to be hard to say. I think there's a lot of industries that will open up. I think AI consulting will become a big thing. I think SaaS will be replaced by AI agencies, and those will make a lot of money and be able to hire different positions. And I think they'll be able to take on new roles. But it's going to be interesting. I don't really have the best answer for that. I think we kind of just have to wait and see what happens over the next few years.
Yeah, and Matthew, outside of hosting this podcast, my friend, I also do some professional speaking to businesses about the importance of hiring folks with disabilities and allowing tools like AI to be a competitive advantage within the workforce, my friend. So I've got two more questions to ask you about the importance of hiring folks with disabilities, and how do you think AI can help us better give people with a disability a chance to flourish in the workforce? What are your thoughts there?
Oh, I think it's gonna be a huge boom for anybody with a disability, because the idea that you don't have to have a traditional setup, right, or a traditional way that you operate with AI. You could work from anywhere. You can work from any different location that is comfortable and feasible for whatever disability somebody has. The way that if you're not able to use a keyboard, the way we'll be able to talk and interact with technology is going to open so many doors for people that don't have the capabilities to do some of those functions. I think AI is going to open a lot of doors for a lot of people that traditionally didn't have those doors open, to be able to use these technologies to be able to do things that they weren't able to do. Create art, for example. If we can build things where somebody can speak to, or even just use visual aspects to be able to create art or create businesses, that is going to allow anybody, I think, that wants to be able to go and follow their dreams. And I think it's going to open up the doors for people to be able to be hired in positions that just traditionally they didn't have the ability to maybe take on those roles. I think it's going to be huge for the diversification of jobs and roles to be able to be used by really anybody. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you think it'll help sort of streamline the HR process, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
That's interesting. So the HR process, going through like the hiring process, I think it'll be sped up, to be honest. I think one of the things that AI will help with is understanding, being able to intercept the information it needs about a person and make quicker decisions on whether they have the qualifications or the abilities to do the jobs they're being hired for. I think, and that's always good. I always hated when I would be back in the day interviewing for a company and they'd be like, okay, we have a 7-week, 8-week long hiring process. I think AI could help kind of take some of that process out and the fine tuning of it. So you could really kind of look at it and say, hey, these are the specifications we need. And then instead of, somebody manually having to go look at somebody's LinkedIn profile and their resume and then read their cover letter and then, have those full processes, even like initial interviews, I think AI could take a lot of that off the table. They can do it a lot faster, consume the data, and then be able to get those roles in place. I also think from a training perspective, right now I've joined companies where their training manuals and their training systems are a decade behind, right? It's like nothing's been updated for years. I think if we do this right, then AI could continue to learn what's happening within an organization and continue to build new training systems that are up to date without people having to do that manual work that nobody likes doing. Again, it's getting rid of the repetitive, the boring work, and allowing for companies to hire quicker, hire better, and train and get people up to speed a lot faster. I think HR is going to love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I'm curious, talking to you, I'm curious, where does your personal ambition for exploration in business come from, my friend? I'm curious, where does the fire come from to explore new business opportunities for you personally, my friend?
Yeah, I think it comes from me just kind of being an imaginative person. I just when I look at so for example, when I was building Qebot or when I'm building PlatypusOS, I'm not looking at what we're building today or what the market wants today. I'm looking at what we're building in 5 years or what the market or the technology is going to want or allow for in 5 years. It's hard for me to look at anything as it sits right now. It's just the way my brain is tuned, I guess. I don't want to know what we're doing now. I want to know what the ecosystem is going to be in 5 years. One of the things when we built Qebot, when we initially launched some of the product, the consolidated platform, we had a lot of people being like, I don't think anybody wants this. I don't think this is, the centralized platform. I see why it could be cool, but nobody's really wanting something like that. 2 years later, we were off to the races. It was booming because we were just, I think, a little bit ahead of the curve. And that's just kind of how my brain works is it's like, if we do this now, I think it's going to be big in the future. And I've failed at that. There's been things I thought were going to be big that didn't turn out. But I think that's where that explorative mentality for me comes from. It's really about, I can't think about what we're doing now. I'm always thinking like 3 steps in the future of what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, Matt, I'm curious to also ask you, what do you think it means to seize the moment of opportunity in business and really take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves to you? What do you think it means to seize the moment of opportunity in business?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I think one of my biggest fears, honestly, is not failure. I failed. I failed in jobs. I failed in other companies I started. Heckle Sports was a company we started years ago. They crashed and burned. I'm not afraid of the failure aspect of it. I'm afraid of regret. I'm afraid of in the future looking back and be like, I should have done that. Or I had this idea and then I saw somebody else do it and they, have made it a success. I think for me, that ambition is fed by the fear of regret, to be honest. I don't want to look back and say, I should have done this and I didn't do it. Again, if I fail at it, I fail at it. That's fine. I can fail. I'm not afraid of failing. I'm afraid of being 75 years old and be like, oh man, there's so much more I could have done if I just would have taken a leap or taken that step.
Yeah, and Matt, I've got 2 questions left for you. And the first has to do with living in San Francisco. I know that you live down there in San Francisco, so I'm wondering how much of a factor it is for you living and breathing in the tech space to really take advantage of the region rather that you live in, because I'm sure living in San Francisco provides you with a lot of opportunities. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so there's 2 things I think about with that. I think back in, 15, 20 years ago, it was probably hard to start most tech companies outside of this ecosystem. The money's here, all that kind of stuff. I think these days, with especially technology giving kind of everybody a level playing field, I don't think it's as necessary to be here to be able to start technology companies. I've worked with a lot of technology companies that are outside of San Francisco or even the United States. There's a lot of ways to access the tools and the technology now to be able to build something. I do like the community, though. I do have to say that. So there is a community around technology and building here and just kind of the startup edge. And so that is something I like to tap into. There's a lot of people that are kind of passionate for that, so the technology and the startup kind of mindset. And that is helpful when it comes to being able to just find other people like you. Like I was saying earlier, finding that group that kind of understands what you're going through and being able to tap into people that can help. So I think that is a big positive about this area. When it comes to creating a business, though, you can find those communities online. I think the internet and I think technology as a whole has really kind of opened it up where you don't have to be here to be able to create something successful.
Well, fair enough. And as you were talking, I generated one final question before I ask you my last one. And that, my friend, is this. I'm curious to get your thoughts on the responsibility you think tech companies have to sort of police misinformation, because, with AI and the advancement of technology, there's a lot of information on the internet, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on the responsibility you think tech companies have to police misinformation. What are your thoughts there, my friend?
I think it's important. I think, from my perspective, not policing this stuff is a detriment to society. The the idea of just letting it be the Wild West and then building algorithms that feed misinformation or certain mindsets and not sharing those other mindsets to people, where it's really kind of locking them into a certain way of thinking or a certain ideal, is dangerous. It radicalizes people, and it makes it hard for people to decipher real versus fake. I think that it is detrimental to society as a whole to not have some guardrails around this stuff. I mean, technology in itself is great and it can build great things, but there has to be regulation, there has to be guardrails, there has to be policing around what can and can't be said. I mean, if people are saying things that are eliciting, violence, that has to be fixed. That you can't have content out there. You can't have, unguarded ways of people spouting misinformation that could potentially destroy the American way, or the government's attempts at trying to protect and guide us. I think there's a lot of trouble around misinformation not being managed appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, my final question for you has to do with, Matthew, if I told you a lifetime achievement party and I told you I wanted either your best friends or your family members who know you best to give a toast about your life and your legacy, my friend, what do you think you would want them to say about you, and how would you want your life and legacy to be defined, my friend?
Interesting. I don't think about legacy all that much. In my mind, at the end of my life, I don't really care what people think of me or how I'm seen. I think the way I want to live my life is I want to build cool things, interesting things. I want to work with fun, interesting people. I want to work with people that excite me to get out there and do something new. I want to build things that are enjoyed by people. I want to build things that are that help people in whatever facet they have in life, be it personal, be it work, be it just kind of in their day-to-day life. I want to build cool things. I want to build fun things. I want to get up every day and be excited about what I'm doing and not have those regrets later on. And I want to work with cool people. That's the biggest thing for me, is I want to work with people that are smarter than me, that are interesting, and that are exciting to be around. And if that is my legacy, I think that's what I'd want. Just to, people to have said, Matt was fun to work with. Matt was a great, person to kind of collaborate with, and we built some cool stuff together.
Well, I always say that collaboration is the key to progress, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
Absolutely, my friend. And tell me, if people want to get connected with you or the companies you run, my friend, what's the best way they can do that?
If you want to get connected to me, so you can email me at matt, at PlatypusOS.com. That's probably the fastest way. It's my direct email. And then, go to PlatypusOS.com. You can sign up for our browser right now. The AI is in beta. We're seeing some really cool results out of that. We have an ability, if you want to sign up for the AI beta, you can sign it up right on the platform there as well. We typically give access pretty quickly, but we're kind of just gearing it up. But yeah, go there, sign up for PlatypusOS, see what's going on there, and then sign up for our AI beta, because it's coming soon. It's very exciting.
Well, absolutely. Well, Matt, I have to tell you, I think I've gained from having this conversation, and I'm certainly smarter than I am from when we began the conversation, my friend. I think you're doing great work in the space of AI and technology and internet browsing, my friend. I think you're a fascinating person, and I want to Thank you for engaging in conversation with me this afternoon and for answering my questions. It's most appreciated.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much. It was a lot of fun, and you had great questions. This was a great opportunity.